In today's episode of Wealthy Institutions Speedrunning Bad Decisions, Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, yes guys, the same fund that recently bought EA, is apparently experiencing what financial experts call,
oh god, where did the money go?
They checked their bank account after a night out and realized the only thing they bought was freaking disappointment. For years, the PIF has been spending with the same enthusiasm as a kid with their first credit card, except instead of toys, they were buying entire gaming companies. And now, after acquiring EA in the largest leverage buyout ever, we're learning their wallet might be tighter than the difficulty curve in a From Software freaking game.
I'm talking to you, Elden Ring.
But don't worry, none of this mess started with gaming, which is the good news. The bad news is this rabbit hole begins somewhere far funnier, far weirder, and far more confusing. Like someone tried to build a sci-fi future using vibes, dreams, and the architect equivalent of a fever freaking dream. To get a better understanding of how EA ended up strapped to this financial roller coaster, we need to rewind to the era where Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund decided gaming was its new freaking personality trait. The PIF entered the games industry like a player booting up GTA Online for the first freaking time, with unlimited confidence, a lot of cash, and absolutely zero hesitation about chaos. They bought stakes in Nintendo, Capcom, Take-Two, and even Embracer Group, the same Embracer Group that exploded so hard it practically speedran the studio closure any percentage category. Then they leveled up by purchasing Savvy Games Group, the company behind Monopoly Go. Yes guys, the mobile game that has achieved the impossible.
Making people willingly ruin friendships digitally.
You'd think that'd be enough, but no. PIF saw the gaming industry like a buffet and decided it needed everything. And its crown jewel? EA. Guys, mind you, not a little stake, not even a side investment. No. They helped orchestrate a $55 billion acquisition, the largest leveraged buyout in private equity history. Bigger than anything before. They basically grabbed EA by the corporate collar and said,
you boy, you're coming with us.
This was the point when the gaming world stood still and blinked. Because buying EA, guys, isn't like buying a toy. It's like buying the whole toy store, the warehouse behind it, and the dude who stocks the freaking shelves. It's a massive move, and you usually only do something like that if you have endless money or endless confidence. The PIF seem to have both. But like any player who discovers cheat codes, eventually you test the limits, and that's exactly what happened. Because while the world was fixating on EA and gaming acquisitions, something else was happening quietly behind the scenes. Something PIF wasn't tweeting about, bragging about, and definitely wasn't putting on their billboards. Their other investments were becoming the financial version of a tower made from sticks. Impressive at first, terrifying when you look closer. And guys, this is the part where the documentary narrator voice returns and says,
and that's when things started to get complicated.
Let's take a closer look into PIF's troubled projects, which is honestly a very polite way of saying these investments are going freaking through it. Let's start with the main attraction, Neom. Yes, the ambitious ultra-futuristic mega city designed to look like the world's longest Apple store. It was originally pitched as a 105-mile-long glass-walled utopia called The Line, but after several years and the fortune equivalent to that of Elon Musk's poured into it, the project has been scaled back harder than a Ubisoft graphics downgrade. The line went from a cyberpunk paradise stretching across the desert to maybe we'll build a little bit of it and hope no one notices. It's basically when you tell your parents you're gonna clean your entire room, but then you pick up one sock and call it freaking progress. But hold your brakes, the fun doesn't stop there. The New York Times also pointed out a coffee chain with one store. One. Just one. Guys, that's not an investment. That's honestly more of a committed hobby. Imagine pouring millions into a cafe that has the same number of branches as the lemonade stand kids
run outside grocery stores.
Then guys, you thought I was done? Oh no, there is a lot more, guys. Then there is the cruise line with one ship. A cruise line. Singular. A whole industry built around the idea of fleets, except there is just one lonely boat drifting through the ocean like it's questioning its career choices. It's the maritime version of I didn't think this freaking through. And finally, the electric vehicle startup, founded 3 years ago, has yet to deliver a single freaking car. Not one. Guys, at this point, even the McDonald's ice cream machine has a better track record of working. All of these projects contributed to a situation politely described as financial distress, which is a high-end way of saying
the wallet is crying.
And while the PIF still holds nearly $1 trillion in assets, most of them are apparently the kind you can't easily sell, like a house that's technically worth money, but also technically,
on fire.
And this, guys, this is where EA enters the chat. Because when your investors are fighting multiple bosses across multiple failing mega projects, the last thing anyone wants to hear is, hey, we just bought EA, hope nothing goes wrong. EA is now sitting in the middle of this financial circus like a kid who got adopted by a billionaire. Sounds great until you realize the billionaire's investments include a skyscraper made of glass, a cruise line with one boat, and a coffee shop with fewer customers than a live stream with 0 freaking viewers. Like we've mentioned, on paper, the PIF has nearly $1 trillion in assets, but the key phrase here is on paper, because a lot of these assets are apparently harder to sell than an NFT in freaking 2025. And that's the part, guys, that should make EA's boat start sweating like they're playing a horror game without headphones. Because let's break down what happens when a leverage buyout meets a suddenly not so liquid investor. A leverage buyout, or LBO for short, also known as financial trouble, is when you buy a massive company mostly using debt, then squeeze that company until the debt starts paying itself. This most of the time works great when the investors have infinite patience and infinite money. But when an investor starts looking for short-term returns, an LBO becomes a pressure cooker. And EA? EA is now the main freaking ingredient. The biggest fear in the room is asset cannibalization. This is when private equity starts cutting costs, selling divisions, and milking the company for fast cash. Basically, guys, imagine someone speeding the process of turning a game company into a garage sale. If you thought EA made questionable decisions before, just wait until a board of extremely stressed investors start questioning why Battlefield isn't printing Fortnite money yet. Another fear is aggressive profit extraction. Not the slow, steady kind EA is already known for. Oh no. This would be the corporate version of trying to squeeze juice out of a freaking brick. Suddenly you start seeing $40 battle passes, $30 skins, and a loot box inside another loot box like some kind of predatory Matryoshka doll. The kind of monetization so bold it makes Diablo Immortal look generous. Okay, maybe that's an over-exaggeration. Nothing matches Diablo Immortal's monetization. And then, guys, there is the nuclear option. Studio closures and layoffs. If this situation starts looking like Embracer Group 2.0, we could witness another wave of developers getting hit with cost-saving restructuring.
A phrase that's HR language for pack your freaking things.
Embracer already gave the industry a taste of the apocalypse when a single failed deal triggered thousands of layoffs, multiple studio closures, and the burial of franchises people actually liked. EA being owned through the biggest LBO in history, that's like Embracer on steroids if things go wrong. Even EA's CEO had to come out and reassure people that everything is normal, which is, in other words, is everything is not freaking normal at all. It's the same tone someone uses when they're saying they're fine while standing next to a burning building. Gamers, they aren't convinced. Investors aren't convinced. And honestly, even Anthem servers probably felt a disturbance in the freaking force. So yes, EA might be business as usual today, but with PIF's projects collapsing, liquidity shrinking, and financial stress rising, EA might soon find itself being squeezed harder than the average gamer squeezing a controller during a freaking rage quit. And if EA gets squeezed, the entire gaming landscape shifts, with us stuck in the freaking splash zone. This all feels like a joke written by someone who's really into finance but also into chaos. EA is now owned, partially puppeteered by an investment fund that just realized its $1 trillion shopping spree came with freaking consequences. Meanwhile, the fund itself is juggling a sci-fi city that got nerfed, a cruise line with one boat, a coffee shop with one store, and an EV startup that makes 0 freaking cars. It's like watching a billionaire attempt a side quest and accidentally lead the freaking main story. For EA, the future could go one of two ways, guys. Either everything stays stable and boring, or we enter Embracer Group Season 2, where studios vanish like loot drops and everyone pretends they're shocked. And us as gamers, all we can do is brace ourselves, grab some popcorn, and hope our favorite franchises don't end up as collateral damage
in this corporate fight.
What do you guys think? Can PIF recover from this mess and our beloved franchises remain afloat and shining, or
is this the end? Hold your breath and count to 10. Feel the games disappear and then...
Drop your thoughts down below before I call the wrath of Adele down on you. And guys, thank you once again for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more content in the future. Take care and I'll see you in the next one.